And thus, every comedian in Hollywood saw what Jordan Peele just did and said, oh my God, I could do exactly what he did and it'll be as successful. Sometimes it works, others not so much. Welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. It is February 24th, 2017, and hey, at least we're ending the month on a very positive note because our first movie is easily the best movie of the weekend, and that is Get Out. Chris and his girlfriend Rose, Chris played by Daniel Kaluuya and Rose played by Allison Williams, go upstate to visit her parents for the weekend. Her parents being played by Catherine Keener and Bradley Whitford. At first, Chris reads the family's overly accommodating behavior as nervous attempts to deal with their daughter's interracial relationships. But as the weekend progresses, a series of increasingly disturbing discoveries lead him to a truth that he could never imagine. This is one of those movies that I got to very late on. I didn't get to see this movie when it was in theaters, and I waited for the Blu-ray to come out, and, you know, I heard everyone talking about it and saying, you gotta watch it, you gotta watch it, you gotta watch it, and, you know, I thought it was going to be one of those things, I thought it was going to be one of those movies that was going to be extremely overhyped, and, you know, it's just like, okay, everyone's saying it's a great movie, but it really is not, but much like the recently released Obsession, this movie cannot be overhyped at all. This movie is really good, and yeah, Jordan Peele, yeah, his Dark Side came out, and it worked out in numerous occasions for many different reasons. Some we'll get to later on here, but what makes this movie not only work very well as essentially a horror remake to Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, but it's also one of the more socially critical movies of our time in a good way. Like, it tackles a lot of issues, both racial and political, but Peele just finds a way to create not just a great horror movie, but also a surprisingly good dark comedy, too. There were surprisingly, legitimately funny moments in this. You know, he comes from a comedy background, of course, and he does a good job of balancing out the horror elements with the comedy, as well as the drama and the more tension-filled moments. He's created an amazing, unique style of filmmaking we haven't seen done with a horror film probably since the days of Alfred Hitchcock. I mean, you could make the argument this is very modern-day Hitchcock in a way this film is shot. I mean, we'll be talking about a lot of these shots for many years to come. The cast is great here. I'm glad to see that Allison Williams was getting more work. She was kind of getting pushed off to the side. She was being blamed for being kind of a Nepo baby because, of course, her father is Brian Williams. Did you see Girls? Did you see her in Peter Pan Live? She was the one thing that was actually carrying that piece of garbage. Her and Christopher Walken, of course, as Captain Hook. She's really good in this. I like their chemistry overall, and, you know, Daniel Kaluuya's got a really good... he made his... You know, he did become a pretty good movie star, and even won an Academy Award for Judas and the Black Messiah, which I thought he was great in that. You know, Bradley Whitford and Catherine Keener are clearly having a great time playing the role of the parents. Lil Rel Howery's really good, too. He's playing Rod in this. He has a lot of the best funny one-liners in here. You got a great cast. It also includes Stephen Root, Keith Stanfield, Caleb Landry Jones, Betty Gabriel, Marcus Henderson, Geraldine Singer, Erica Alexander. I mean, it is one of those cinematic triumphs that comes every once in a while. An excellent surprise that showcases the exciting potential of somebody you never would have thought would have succeeded outside of this background that he's gotten success from. But lo and behold, Jordan Peele does that in a big way, and it did pay off for him. He won an Oscar for writing the screenplay for this. Well-deserved, and hey, he did it before anybody from Saturday Night Live could win an Oscar, too. I mean, and now I know what you're thinking. Adam McKay won an Oscar for writing The Big Short, but yeah, in terms of actual cast members who won Oscars, yeah. Sorry, Jordan Peele was first, and then Robert Downey Jr. was the first one to do it with Oppenheimer a couple years later. But regardless, though, this is a really good movie. A smartly written, uniquely directed horror comedy with a great visual style, similar to Hitchcock, a strong cast, great cinematography. Give a lot of credit to Toby Oliver for the cinematography. A great balance of not just horror, but comedy and drama. This movie is just absolutely incredible. This is one of the best movies of the year, one of the best horror movies ever made. It still holds up after all these years later. Almost 10 years after this movie came out, I can still look at this movie and see a film that we'll be talking about for generations to come. This movie was absolutely incredible, and it opened the door for a lot of other people outside of their normal genre of comedy to come in and try to take a stab at making a movie like this. But some of them have been successful, others not so much. But needless to say, Jordan Peele has been 3 for 3 so far with this, Us, and Nope. Hopefully he'll get to make that next movie pretty soon. We're coming up now on almost 5 years since Nope came out, so I'm wondering what the holdup is. But I mean, did really losing weapons really kind of put him out of the limelight a little bit here? I hope not. But anyway, when he does it, I'll be there opening weekend because yeah, he's a great director. I can trust him. especially with a movie like Get Out proving what he's able to do here. So, wow, we're starting off on a wonderful, wonderful note here. Surely this means now all the studios are putting out movies that they believe in, and we're not going to see any stupid garbage whatsoever. Of course, we've got stinkers, and not only do we have a really, really bad stinker, we have a movie directed by the co-director of Toy Story 2, Ash Bannon. Thought I was going to say John Lasseter, but then again, John Lasseter is basically making these type of movies that Rock Dog eventually becomes over at Skydance, but hey, he did Surf's Up, which was a great movie, so maybe there is hope. Nope. You have a young Tibetan Mastiff, a wolf pretty much, or dog pretty much, played by Luke Wilson. The movie's literally called Rock Dog. What the hell's wrong with me? Who leaves his mountain home village to become a rock musician in the big city after a radio falls from the sky. We have a movie, people, but I guess to its credit, it's a better Lionsgate animated movie than Norm of the North is, but then again, the shit I took this morning was a better animated film than Norm of the North, and it's not even animated, it's a real-life thing, but there's an image to put in your head right now, but yeah, this movie is not that great overall, not surprisingly. Yeah, when it comes to Lionsgate and their family films, they have not been very successful overall. And most of them have been largely forgettable or just plain terrible. Alpha and Omega, Norm of the North, this movie, and sure enough, just like those other two franchises that they have, they franchised the hell out of this movie with not one, but 2 sequels released over the next 6 years. For a film that is literally nothing but a film that we've seen done to death before so many times, and you know, this was a movie that was made for for Chinese audiences too, because you could see in the beginning, H Brothers, the company behind it, this thing did poorly in the country that they made this movie for. Like, it's just, what was the point? What was the point of making this movie if you knew it was not going to play well at all in your own home country nonetheless? But, I mean, you could just tell that the movie was terrible right from the get-go. I mean, what more do you got? What more do I even need to say about it? Rock Dog, ain't nothing rocking about this movie, man. Like, maybe there's a good reason why Luke Wilson doesn't do as many voice roles for bad animated movies like his brother does, but I digress. Let's see if we can turn the tide over with our next movie. Nicholas Hoult starring in the film Collide.
I believe I have something you want.
I'm coming to get you, Juliet.
What the hell is going on?
All this trouble, all this pain, for the mountain.
Collide. Rated PG-13.
Ben Kingsley's in your movie, Abandon All Hope, Ye Who Enter Here. This is not the Ben Kingsley of Gandhi, no. This is the Ben Kingsley that says yes to shit like Thunderbirds and The Sound of Thunder, and wouldn't you know it, he says yes to this piece of garbage. But then again, you also have Anthony Hopkins, who, as we'll see later on in the year, cannot pick good scripts of his own merits, because he's in a blockbuster that's one of the worst blockbusters of the year, so... Nicholas Hoult, Felicity Jones, who is just coming off of Rogue One, stars 2 young Americans living in Germany who must complete a drug theft from a crime boss in order to pay for a medical operation. Now, this was a movie that originally had Zac Efron and Amber Heard involved in it before they dropped out. I really don't think it would have made much of a difference if those two were in it, because, yeah, this is about as lame as you can get. I mean, for God's sakes, the trailer is trying way too hard to copy fucking John Wick. I mean, you got the way the credits played out. The text is literally the same as John Wick. It's just like what are we doing here? But hey, you get to see Jafar in it from Aladdin, not the good Aladdin, the live action Aladdin, where he was the worst thing about that movie in general. But I mean, let me put it this way. This thing grossed $7 million off of a $21 million budget, which is not a expensive film at all, but it also set the record for the second weekend drop in box office performance. I think that's all you need to know about how terrible this movie is. Like, I mean, it's a lazy movie. There's probably a good film in here, but certainly not with this film in general, but it is what it is, so... That is a Collide for you, so, hey, let's wrap it up here with one more film. What's worse than having one bad animated movie this weekend? How about 2?
Elle Fanning, Nat Wolff, Maddie Ziegler, Carly Rae Jepsen, and Kate McKinnon. Glee, rated PG, in theaters August 25th.
So, yeah, this is one of the more weirder things I've ever seen here, because, yeah, that trailer says it comes out on August 25th, even though if you go to Box Office Mojo, it's listed as February 24th, 2017, but as I'm reading here, it's because it was released in Canada, which explains why the studio next to it is called Entertainment One, and of course they've done a lot of stuff for Canada and overall, so it's a weird scenario here, because yeah, this thing made it to the States in August of that, later on in the year, but yeah, needless to say, this is one of the weirder ones here, which is a movie that's got a bland title like Leap, even though the title it had before, Ballerina, is also pretty bland as well. But then again, when you have a movie where Carly Rae Jepsen is one of your leading actresses in this, that's like Taylor Swift being involved in your movie. It's like, it's the death knell right there for you. So abandon all hope, ye who enter here. And coincidentally, Nat Wolff was not the original voice actor for the main boy in this movie. It was actually Dane DeHaan, who was just recently in A Cure for Wellness, and maybe he should be grateful that he was not involved in the American version of this, because yeah, he's going to have a couple other bad movies released in 2017, but this is a co-production between Canadian and French companies taking place in 1880s France, and follows an orphan girl, voiced by Ellie Fanning, who dreams of becoming a ballerina and getting a chance to audition at the celebrated school of the Paris Opera Ballet. You also have Maddie Ziegler from Dance Moms involved in it, as well as Mel Brooks, Kate McKinnon, and oh boy, I mean, Carly Rae Jepsen's bad enough, but a Dance Moms kid is in this movie. I mean, good lord, man. But hey, despite all this, reviews actually were not that bad for this movie. I'm thinking only for the... Yeah, it says the original version of it, so maybe the original Canadian version actually isn't terrible, but yeah, the only one I've ever seen is the one for the U.S., which basically makes the assumption that this is probably one of those movies like the Completion Bond Company films, where they brought a company to edit the film together and make it more mass appealable to mainstream audiences in the United States. I mean, they did this. I mean, the Weinsteins did this back in the '90s when they were running Miramax. Of course, the Tom and Jerry movie is one of those examples, as well as more noticeably, The Thief and the Cobbler, the Richard Williams movie, and. So I don't know. Maybe it is actually a lot better than this makes it out to be. But truth be told, I have only seen the English version, and the one for the United States, I should say. They're both English versions, but the United States one I've seen, and I would like to think they didn't do too much to make it different from the Canadian version, but you never know. I mean, like I said, they could have done the same thing they did with The Thief in the Cobbler, where they had to add in modern, trendy, quotable lines, like in The Thief and the Cobbler, which is supposed to take place in ancient Egypt, or like a ancient, like kind of like Agrabah in a way. I don't know if that was actually called that, but you know, you have the thief talking about when he's stealing the golden orbs. He's just like, "I'm going to Disneyland," and it's just like, I mean, that's probably what they did with the U.S. version of it, but. Like I said, I can't really compare the Canadian version to the U.S. version because I haven't seen the Canadian version. I can tell you that the U.S. version, though, not very good. Not very good at all. So, yeah. Not a very good weekend for movies in general, except for Get Out, which is a great film, but everything else, I think you get the point. And much like how February ended, March will start off the exact same way, because next time on Time About the Movies, we have my pick for the best movie of 2017 easily, and that is Hugh Jackman returning once again as Wolverine in the R-rated film Logan, easily the best of the Wolverine movies for a number of different reasons, but we'll touch on why next time around. We'll also take a look at Sam Worthington and Oscar winner Octavia Spencer starring in The Shack. And no, this isn't a Caddyshack reboot. No, it's much worse than that. It's a Christian movie. Because, yeah, after Caddyshack 1, there's no reason to watch anything from Caddyshack afterwards. Even the spin-off Who's Your Caddy, which isn't even a spin-off. It's just basically a black version of Caddyshack, which is somehow just as bad as Soul Plane was, but for Airplane. But we'll touch on that. We'll also take a look at Before I Fall, which has, I believe, Chris... Does this have Chris Evans and Alice Eve? Because I feel like I already did a movie with them not too long ago. Who's in this movie? Does not have Chris Evans and Alice Eve, but it has Zoe Deutch and Houston Sage from Goosebumps, and Zoe Deutch is, of course, the daughter of Leah Thompson. Before I Fall. Yeah, I honestly forgot about this movie, so I might have to do some research on this one before watching it tomorrow. But we also have Anna Kendrick leading an ensemble cast in the comedy Table 19. So we'll take a look at those 4 movies coming up tomorrow on the channel, and we'll start March off. So, With all that said, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go ahead and do me the honors of hitting that like button, that subscribe button, that notification button. And also, don't forget to check out our playlist, and don't forget to check out the previous episode we did. So with all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care. Bye.